Hello, and welcome back to Unpacking Life with Z. This is a channel where you will come hear me speak and discuss aspects of my life journey, that is, the past, present, and even the future. I basically tell you the tea about me. Today's video is what I call a blast from the past, and it's two videos in which I recorded later last year, showing growth and improvement on how I accepted or made decisions in my life that was not based on desperation and survival. And it was based on me being presented with a job opportunity and how I was treated the prior year inappropriately when I took the opportunity from desperation. So buckle up, get some popcorn, and take a listen.
I passed the test. Humiliation ritual.
I want to come on and talk a little bit about and share a story of my experiences working in corporate America in the education field, and how I experienced a lot of microaggression and hostility, and to share a story of some growth, which this is happening right before in the interview process. So just to tell you a little bit about me, I'm a doctorate of education. I've worked as a school psychologist for many years. I haven't been in the last couple years. I've been on and off, but there were some issues in terms of me staying in the current position that I was in for a long time. So now I'm trying to go back and do part-time work in the same field. And my resume, when it's sent over to the department, they see all of my lovely experience, bullets, my education. And so I always go excited to share my experiences and how I can help their teams, especially when it's a situation where they need someone to come in and help them because they may be behind in whatever the case may be. But last year I was finishing up. I was unemployed and I needed to get back to work. So I took this interview. It was a travel position and it paid pretty good money. And I interviewed with the staff, and it was a 3-session interview, but every interview was pretty hostile. They questioned me, they were mean, and to the point that I didn't even want to take the job. The recruiter, he called me, I said, I don't want to take that job. They were pretty mean to me. I was able to answer the questions, but I don't know, I don't think they liked me. So the recruiter was like, okay, well, let me check to see what was really going on. So they emailed me and say, you know what, we think you'll be a good candidate. We apologize for whatever reason why they felt like they came across on the interview. So I desperately said, okay. My first mind was telling me, no, don't take that job. Allow the universe, allow God to bring you something else. It's crunch time. You need to get to work, but this is not it. Didn't ignore it. I ignored that voice and went to I took the job, and needless to say, it was a nightmare. I didn't even finish. The whole team turned against me. They were very overtly racist towards me. I had a whole lot of sabotage, vandalism in my office until I literally had to say, I can't go there. So during that, after the fact, I was upset with myself because I said, I saw the red flags. Why did I put myself in that situation? So I said, next time, I'm going to stand on God's word. If I see red flags, no matter what the situation is, I'm going to stand firm and I'm going to say no, because I know what I have to bring and I don't deserve to be treated a certain way. So this is going a year ago. I haven't worked since then, so I'm entering back into the interviews, right? And so one thing I would say about the universe, God, and whomever you pray to, for me, I tapped in and, I asked, I said, I want to go back to work, but I want a place where my skill set is respected, and I work in a team dynamic where it's not chaos and I'm not treated horribly, right? Problems, I'm okay with that, but hostility and attacks and mobbing, that's not what I wanted, because I have a lot to give. So I reached out to a few recruiters and I got a couple of interviews, which was this past week. Now, the recruiter got me to travel. The pay would be great. So the thing that I'm doing now that's different is I'm taking more than one interview. So I have something to compare it to, and I promise myself I won't be in a desperate situation. And so the first interview, the department head came on, but the whole team was not there, to interview me. So I'm thinking, okay, what's going on here? So it was a pleasant interview, but the interviewer, she was asking me specific questions just to kind of, I guess, see if I knew what I was talking about. So I kind of started thinking, no, this is not an interview. This is to catch me off guard, to see if I can answer questions to up one me. And I'm just thinking, really, at an interview? But I was able to answer the questions. Why? Because I have the skill set in what they were asking me to do. So when we got towards the end of the interview and she asked me, do you have any questions? I said, sure. Tell me a little bit about the what are you looking for? Tell me about the case, the caseload and all that good stuff. And so she was like, well, it's none of those things that you talked about. And she didn't answer any questions. So I was like, okay. So the second interview was the next day. It was a whole team. Now this, what I was called, was a whole humiliation ritual. It was 5 people. There were white women. One was a black guy who was big. And when I tell you, he didn't even work in the department. He didn't even introduce himself. They introduced him. And so one of the administrators, she wasn't really engaged, but what she was is she had the video on the side where she was, I guess, doing something and trying to interview me. Then there was, the other department heads who I probably would be reporting to. And they looked at me and they didn't really ask me questions. They were saying, well, we need this. Can you do this? And I'm sitting here like, is this an interview? Well, can you handle this? We need people who can come in. Can you handle these? We find that people, they struggle. And I'm like, I could do this. So I felt it was more so them trying to attack me. And then, of course, the dude that was there, he was giving me these dirty looks. So I played it off in terms of I answered their questions. And then when I got off, when it ended, of course, they didn't want to tell me and give me details of the title, of the caseload or the assignment, so I can make a decision. When I got off, I said, wait a minute, something is not right. So it took me a night to sleep on it. And then when I woke up, it came in my spirit. That's the mirror of that same interview last year. So I was being tested by God. Are you gonna do what you said? Are you gonna take this position if they call you? So I immediately called the recruiter. I woke up immediately. And I texted her, I said, hey, thank you for setting up this interview. The first one, I said, that's a no-go for me because I feel as if they weren't interested in me. They seemed overwhelmed and they were vague. So, that one is off the table. And it made me feel so good and powerful that it gave me the choice to say, no, I'm not going to let people because they are intimidated by what I have to give, they want to humiliate me in an interview. Now, I did say I would take the next, I would consider the other interview, but I would have to interview and the whole staff must be there before I would even consider that. And I said, other than that, I said, keep looking for other positions. So that put me in the power state and I passed the test to God, and I'm trusting that the right thing will come because I have looked at the red flags and I made the decision to say, no, that's not for me. Before I move on to the next story, I want to take a moment just to honor and send well wishes and love to anyone who has been impacted by hate, racism, or any type of mistreatment at work. I honor you and I wish you well. I would also like to let you know this next segment.
I was called at Endeliger at a staff meeting.
Here and talk about, or do a follow-up of an incident based on a job that I took last year. And if you want to know a little bit about the beginning of this, watch the video named I Passed the Test, Humiliation Ritual. And I talk about a job I took last year out of desperation and the pay, where it was this whole interview, which seemed like a humiliation ritual, where they took me three interview sessions, and every time they came on, they were just being very mean, and it was pretty bad. But I was desperate, and then I talked myself out of what happened, and I took the job, and it ended up being a really horrible situation. But it also was a learning lesson, and it also showed me, my worth. It showed me how resilient and how much of a badass I am doing what I do, because they didn't see it coming. So the first story I want to tell about that situation is when I first arrived. They did a whole, I would say, so when I got there, it seems cool because the school, it was a charter school, it was a middle and high school, and it was very diverse up in the Bay Area, Richmond. It was a lot of mixed couples. The administrators were Hispanic. It was a big immigrant Hispanic, I would say 90% Hispanic, and some black kids, kids from Africa, students from Africa. And then even the staff represented that, but I was the only Black American. And so sometimes when you go into that situation where it's mainly immigrant, from immigrant backgrounds, you seem like you're an outsider, although it is your country, right? But anyway, I can work with anyone. I was there to do my job, work with students. I'm there to, get it going, right? The caseload and what they did was they had promoted these young teachers to administrative positions. They had been there. They had teaching experience and they knew the students, but they couldn't handle the caseload, the operations, and they were just immature in a lot of ways. They were making it really cliquish instead of about the work. So I'm there. Dr. Z has entered the room, and we about to get it together. So first thing, I'm coming in, I'm Black American, I'm beautiful, I would say. And I'm sure these people, they go on, they look you up on your social medias, probably saw I was looking, had some cute pictures, right? So I came in, had some hating going on in there. And so they, wanted to humble me, but I was ready. I started documenting, asking questions. But the first thing that they did was they did I would say, they wanted to call me, they put me in a situation where they could, okay, well, how can I say it? They wanted to call me the NIGGER word, but they were so slick. They did it in a professional way. So what they did was, when I was there the first week. So the first week was getting to know the staff and the students, looking at their caseload, and it was right before the Christmas holiday. So I was there. I believe I started towards the end of November, December, and then they were going to go on, 2 weeks holiday, and then we're going to come back in January. The issue was that they kind of just put me in the room. They didn't, prepare me for what I needed, because they were really behind. When I tell you, they were all messed up on their timelines. So I needed to get access to the computer. It was so much they needed to give me so I can be prepared when we came back after the holiday. But I already know that they do that. They stall you, put you in the room. They don't meet with you. and they say, oh, we're busy, so they can stall you. So then when it's time for you to, they're setting you up. So they were setting me up to fail. But I made them look bad because I come with a lot of experience. So I started documenting and everything that happened. So when they tried to come and say, oh, well, why isn't this done? And I come with, look on this page, on this day, on that day, I didn't receive this, or that. So then they're mad and they want to, okay, we got to humble this girl. So the next week they sent me the principal sent me an email. And of course, when I would walk in the building by the second week, you can feel the hostility. They didn't want to speak to me. And I'm just like, oh my God, here we go. But I'm here to make this money. Let's get it done, right? So they sent an email. They said, oh, because I work with students as an educational psychologist. I help with behavior issues and just deal with some of the social emotional stuff and relationships among the students and the staff. But I'm new there. This is my second week, so I don't know what's really going on there. I thought I was there to do, help them with paperwork. And they sent me an email saying, oh, we're having a horrible, horrible problem with the Hispanic kids calling the Black kids the N-word, right? So we want to educate. And so it was a whole thing. We want to educate our staff, and we have no tolerance for this. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. But when I walked around, I saw the students, they were cool with each other. They were mixed dating and everything. So I'm like, okay, I'm new, right? So the meeting, it was a staff meeting. And so she said, we would love for you to come to be a part of this. And we want to introduce you to the staff. And if, we know you have a background in presenting these kinds of issues. But then when I got in there, it was so weird. It was a table. They said, oh, we want you to sit here. And it was in the middle, but it was nobody around me, right? All of the teachers some of them were there, but they were standing around. And there's one, she was Mr. K, I'll call him. He was the only Black teacher there. And when I tried to talk to him and say, hey, what's going on? He didn't want to say anything to me. He kind of walked out and I'm like, something is wrong. So they did a whole presentation on Black women leaving the field and stressed out. And they were looking at me and I'm just like, what is this about me? So then they gave statistics on how many times the N-word was said in the halls or whatever. And then they had this one Black girl get up and do a presentation. And they opened up a picture of it was a picture back in the day, I guess, with the strange fruiting with after church, they would take the whole thing. And my eyes got so big and they were looking at me and I'm thinking, what does this have to do with this? This is weird. So I froze. I didn't get up and leave out. I just froze. But then when I didn't show a reaction, but of course the next day I processed it and I was like, they was trying to attack me in my identity, call me the N-word, to say this is what the lady said when she showed the picture. She said the N-word is what they probably said when they did this. And when I got back to my office, I'm like, the N-word is the last of the words. It's exactly the act of the strange fruiting. So that's what it was starting. But at first, it took me a while to say, these people are so diabolical. They will plot and plan a whole meeting and a staff meeting just to call you a slur and put you in your place. But that didn't work because I had something for their asses because I made them look very humiliated based on the level of skill. So on the next couple videos, I'll tell the story. But yeah, they called me the N-word and showed me these are your ancestors, so stay in your place.